Hello and welcome back. Today I wanted to do a review of this saber, which is the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren Force Effects Elite Saber from Disney and Hasbro. Now, this is a piece of official Disney merchandise, so in this review I want to compare it to the other pieces of official Disney merchandise, because this is the third Kylo Ren release that has come straight out of Disney. But I also want to talk about it in relationship to the custom market. I want to show this saber to you in terms of what's included, the features, the general hilt construction, and the usability for costuming or spinning or dueling. Before I get to that, though, let me talk about the idea behind the Force Effects Elite line. Black Series sabers have been around for a while. They were Disney's high-end sabers. They were metal. They had essentially a version of what later became a NeoPixel blade that extended and retracted. They had all the bells and whistles that Disney cared to put into them. But the saber market has evolved, and this is their attempt to try to keep up with that by adding features that the Black Series sabers traditionally did not have. Now that comes with a higher price tag. So this was the first release from the Force Effects Elite. They've since done a Revan and a Sidious. I've reviewed the Revan, and I'll talk about that comparison a little bit in this video. But they're slowly coming out with what they consider to be their higher-end sabers. Okay, this saber runs about $300. You can find it on sale often for less than that. The Galaxy's Edge saber, which was the release previous to this, runs for between $150 to $200, but it is extremely hard to get because it's a park exclusive. Occasionally they have it on the website for about $200. Usually they don't. And then there's the original Black Series, which started out at $200, but these days you can generally get for less than $100. Alright, so let's take a look at this one first. And I'll talk about what comes with the Supreme Leader Kylo Elite Saber in terms of just basically what you get when you open the box. So first off, here's the saber itself. Okay, pretty well detailed saber. I'll talk about the details and the weathering in just a little bit. It has a saber clip on it, but this saber does not come with a belt clip like the Galaxy's Edge saber does. The good news is that this belt clip right here is the same size. It's got an edge right there, and it's the same size as a chain lock. You know those locks that you get with the chain where you slide it on the back door for security? Okay, that part that you slide the chain into is exactly the same size as this. So if you get one of those for $3 and you cut the top off of it, you can mount it on a belt, and it hangs pretty well, pretty securely that way, but you got to do it yourself. So you do not get a belt clip. You get the saber. You get two side blades. Now the side blades on these have two pegs on them, so those push in and lock inside the saber. I'll show you that in just a second, but you get two side blades. These side blades support all of the animations. They have LEDs running up them, so you'll get to see that when I turn the saber on in just a little bit. You get a main blade. Now, the main blade on this is not interchangeable with Galaxy's Edge blades or Legacy Saber blades, but it is the same design as the other Force Effects Elite sabers. So, for instance, this is a Revan blade. This is the Kylo Ren blade. Okay, the only difference between these connections is the color of the pads. So I can actually plug this Revan blade into the Kylo Ren and it will work. The thing is, I can't plug the Kylo Ren blade into the Revan because the Revan blade changes to purple, and this one doesn't support that. So this has yellow and white and red LED capability in it, but it won't change to purple. So when I try to plug this into into the Revan blade, it won't work. But since this only runs the red and the yellow and the white, the Revan blade will work on here. Right, but the connection is the same. Alright, so you get the blade, you get the side blades, you get this cool little stand right here. Now this stand is metal and actually a pretty nice stand. It's got rubber feet on it, so it's pretty good at non-slip. This stand is the same stand basically that you get with the Revan and the Elite Sidious sabers. The metal part is basically the same. These little rubber bits are different. So I could slide this rubber bit out of the Kylo Ren, pop it into the top of the one for the Revan, and it would work. The only difference between the main stand on this one is it has a little spot here for this coin. Now, I will talk about this coin in just a little bit. This coin has a specific function, but you can keep it here in the stand. The way that the stand works is these little holes near the pommel of the Kylo Ren saber fit on top of that little knob. Right? It fits red wire side forward, and there's grooves cut into here for these buttons right here. So if I put that in there, put that in there, that's the saber stand. And it's fairly secure for what it is. So pretty nice little stand. Let me take this coin out because we'll be using that in just a second. The hole for the coin goes all the way through, so you can punch it out from the bottom. Okay, what else comes with this is blade plugs. Now that's something that the other two versions of this did not have. So the blade plug, you can kind of see it in there. It's got a cracked crystal and ridges. The blade plugs push in and lock just like the side blades do. They're a lot harder to do that with because you can't grab them. So to get the blade plugs out, you either have to jam your thumb in there and twist, or you have to use the coin provided, push it in and twist, and it catches on the ridges. Now the blade plugs are spring loaded, but they don't always spring out. So when they come out, they look like that. All right, and that's where the side blades go. Okay, so the side blades push in, twist, locked. All right, the main blade has a blade plug as well, and to get that out, you have to unscrew this top ring. Now, neither of the other sabers have this. The Galaxy's Edge saber, you just put the blade in and twist. The Black Series saber doesn't have removable blades, so you can't take the blade out. But with this one, you remove that ring. This is not pushed in and locked. It's just set there on top for this blade plug. You put the main blade in, push and twist, and then you have to thread this ring all the way down the saber and screw it back on. Alright, now without all three blades in, this saber doesn't activate. It contains two buttons. One of them is this switch right here. You pull down to turn on, push up to turn off. You heard that sort of error or short sound. That's the same sound that the Galaxy's Edge sabers make when you don't have a blade installed. Okay, this one makes that when you don't have all three blades installed. So unlike the Revan, you cannot turn this saber on without all three blades in. Once you have all three blades in, then you can turn the saber on. The other button on here is right here, and this is the auxiliary button that manages most of the effects, like the blaster deflect and the cutting effect that I'll show you in just a little bit. So one more thing before I turn it on. This little coin is useful for taking out those blade plugs. It's also useful for changing the batteries by removing the pommel. So you can put that right in there and twist. Loosens up the pommel, which unscrews. The battery assembly in the pommel has this rather nicely weathered sort of internal component here, and then you get to AA batteries. And it only fits in one way. Put it in, twist it on, tighten it with the coin if you like. Alright, so that's the basic construction of it. Let me turn it on and show you the features. Okay, so there are two ways to turn this saber on. One of them, if it's vertical, when you turn the saber on, the blades retract, or the blades extend out and retract down when you turn it off. But if it's vertical, all three blades light up at the same time. So let me show you that one more time. Okay, you saw them snake out to the side, but you also saw that all three happened at the same time. If it's pointed down, I guess vertical, pointed up I meant, not vertical. If it's pointed down, or at least pointed at like a 45-degree angle, you get a delay like you get in the Force Awakens video when you first see this saber ignited from Kylo Ren. Right, the main blade lights and then the side blades light on a delay. And then they power off together. Right, so there's two ways to turn this on depending on the angle that the saber is held at. Okay, the main blade and the side blades both run an unstable effect, which is basically an orange or yellow LED that sort of hops around inside there and gives it sort of a wobbly appearance. Let me see if I can capture that. Okay. You can see it on my hand. You can see that yellow LED or that white LED go by. Okay, the side blades do that as well. Alright, so it runs that animation. There are two swings built into this, a slow swing and a fast swing. So if I move the saber slowly, and then if I move it fast. Okay, there's multiple sounds for each one of those, but I can have the fast sounds or I can have the slow sounds. If I clash, the main blade's going to light up white, and the base of the side blades are going to light up white. Okay. I also have blaster deflect, so using this auxiliary button on the back, I can trigger an effect like deflecting a blaster bolt. Now what that does is it takes a specific place on the animation of the blade and it lights it up white. It's localized blaster deflect. Okay. The pattern on this is a repeating pattern. So what you get is you get 2 in the middle, 1 at the bottom, 3 at the top, and then repeat. Alright, so let me see, capture that. Okay, 3 at the top, 2 in the middle, 1 at the bottom, and then repeat. Alright, the other effect on this is if I hold down the auxiliary button, I get a drag effect. Okay, now this is like cutting through metal or dragging on the ground, and it goes white to yellow to orange to red, and it sort of fluctuates up and down. Right, you can see from this that the sensitivity of the swing and the clash is not up to par with a lot of the stuff on the custom saber market, but it is better than the Galaxy's Edge Kylo Ren saber, which isn't quite as responsive as these. Alright, the thing about this button right here is that because push down or pull down is turn on and push up is turn off, there's a lot of opportunity if you're actually using this for anything to accidentally turn this button on and off without meaning to. Alright, but that's basically the features on this thing. So let's talk about the hilt construction and the weathering. So this is a nicely detailed saber. All 3 of the Kylo Ren models actually are nicely detailed sabers. But of the 3, this one I think the detail is probably the worst, along with the weathering. This belt clip right here, in the actual Kylo Ren saber and in the other 2 models, this belt clip has sort of like a safety pin notch in it. This one is just a flat clip, which is not accurate. Right, a lot of the weathering on this, the other 2 have rather sophisticated weathering with wear marks. This one, the weathering is... So there's a blob of gold paint right there. There's a blob of gold paint right there. And the heat scoring on the side blades right there is very, very rainbow looking as opposed to actually looking like heat scoring. So the weathering on this, while the detail is really good, and I like this little detail down here that comes out that you can see through the middle, that's rather nice. But the detail on this, or the weathering on this, is the worst of the 3. Alright, in terms of comparative to the market, this one, like I said, is more expensive than the other 2 Disney models, but it's a whole lot easier to get than the Galaxy's Edge saber. In terms of preferential saber, if you're looking to take the saber and reinstall the saber and gut it and have somebody else's internals put in, or if you're looking to just wear it as a costume piece and not turn it on, the Galaxy's Edge saber is definitely the way to go if you can get it. This one is better than the original Black series, even though the weathering isn't quite as good, because of the fact that it has removable blades. That gives you a lot more use in a costuming application when you can hang it from a belt clip, because you cannot hang the thing from a belt clip when it's got all these blades in it. It'd be dragging on the ground and it would look ridiculous. So if you're going to buy it and leave it alone and use it as is, this is probably the preferred model because of the fact that it's got all of these nice features. The power on and the power off on this is actually a lot better, whereas the other 2 power up in big chunks. This one powers up and powers down almost by every single little LED, so it's a lot smoother looking and a lot less chunky. The receptivity of the sensors is a lot better, and the features are a lot better. So this is a good one to have if you're not going to change it up, if you're just going to use it as is. How it compares to the rest of the custom market. Well, this has nothing on the rest of the custom market. The thing is that where this really comes into play is this is the cheapest buy-in to a saber with these features of this model. If you want to spend money on a Kylo Ren model from somewhere like Vader's Vault, or KR Sabers, or Korbanth, you're looking at a saber that's ultimately going to cost you at least $600, sometimes up around the $1,000 or more. This is only $300, so it's a fraction of that, but there's a reason for that. Even getting that Galaxy's Edge saber for $200 and having it converted, expect to spend about $400 on that conversion if you're getting the bells and whistles. So that's a whole other level when you're talking about $600, $700 as opposed to when you're talking about 3, 2, or 1. So in terms of comparison to the custom market, there's no comparison to the custom market, though the design does get the job done, and if you're looking for it for a costume application, it's still a really good way to go. If you're looking for it for a dueling purpose, don't. The blades on this, the basic design of this saber is not very friendly for dueling. It's heavy, it's thick, and the blades themselves are acrylic and not very durable. Now, I've talked before about how Black Series blades are not very durable to begin with, just like Galaxy's Edge. The side blades on this thing are another step in the wrong direction. Okay, I actually, because I didn't have this locked in at one point, the springs shot this thing out, dropped it on the ground, and it immediately became detached. All right, let me show you a little bit about what's in this blade. You can actually, I just loosened one screw and you can hear this rattle. But if I loosen these 2 screws right here, I separate this housing right here, have that all the way unscrewed. There we go. Separate this housing right there, and there you can see the LED strip. Okay, I take this out. There's the LED strip right there. This bit right here has 2 holes that line up to sort of hold this in place, and this is super thin. This is super thin, and the blade strip rattles around in there because it doesn't have any padding like the main blades do. All right, it's just this thing stuck inside these 2 things. And then held together with a couple of screws. So in terms of dueling applications, definitely not. In terms of spinning applications, the weight on this is not great. This is not a great model for spinning. You're better off with something on the custom market. If you're just doing a few basic moves as part of a costume routine, you can get away with that pretty easily. In terms of costuming, this one's just fine. It'll cover all the bases that a lot of the others do, and you can get approved in the 501st Legion with this with fairly little trouble. Alright, so this has been the Kylo Ren, or Supreme Leader Kylo Ren Elite, or Force Effects Elite Saber. Hopefully this review has given you a better look at this saber and a better idea of what you're getting and whether or not you want to spend $300 for it. If you've enjoyed this review, please join me back for more, and I'll see you next time.